So we're excited today. We're announcing the creation of the new Center for Workforce and Talent Preparedness to help pair more high schools with the businesses in their community. We're announcing a grant this morning with the Department of Education to fund rural communities all throughout the state for internships, apprenticeships, entrepreneur programs. So that'll be a big focus for us for this year and next year. Also at the session, though, we're going to really focus on occupational licensure reform. Georgia has more licensed occupations than any other state in the country. It's hard sometimes for military spouses or for people looking for a second chance to get those designations. So we've been working with the Secretary of State and the State Senate all year, try to lower those barriers. The other thing from a workforce standpoint that we really hope we move the needle on this session is dealing with workforce housing. Home ownership in Georgia is down to 64%. And my son's generation, the Generation Z, experts tell us that they'll be 45 years old before they can afford their own home. That's not good enough. That's not the American dream. So we hope to deal with that this session as well.
Yeah, so the workforce housing also deals with the number of companies that are coming in. What a boom for Georgia.
Absolutely.
But finding places for people to live in those communities.
In the communities where they're serving, right? If I'm a teacher, if I'm a police officer, I want to live where I serve. And right now, we don't make that easy for a lot of folks.
Yeah. Let's talk about infrastructure a little bit.
Sure.
What's the infrastructure of the future you talk about?
So if you look at the next 6 years, we're going to add 750,000 more people to the state of Georgia, which is just a remarkable number. We're also going to add 1 million more cars to the road. And by 2050, the Georgia ports tell us that we'll add about 91% additional container traffic. Now, that's all great. That creates jobs, but also creates issues for us. And so DOT tells us that we need to spend about $84 billion over the next 20 years to build alternative routes, to fix our bridges, railroads, airports, to move people and goods around safely. The good news is about 70% of Georgians support that investment. And so we look forward to having this discussion with the General Assembly and with the governor about how we make a down payment on that long-term infrastructure, because anytime we talk about roads and bridges, you're talking about a 20-year project, right? It's not just something we go fix like a bridge in a couple of weeks. So that's a big one for us. And then also finishing Unit 4 at Plant Vogel, building out more natural gas distribution in the state, more solar. We're going to need more energy in the long term, safe, affordable, clean. And we can do all that. We've got the right utility providers. We've got the right Public Service Commission. But we've got to plug in all these electric vehicles we're building in Georgia. And so we've got to start making a lot of that investment now.
And there is a big push to continue Georgia as a leader when it comes to electric vehicles, right?
Buckle of the battery belt, right? Anything in that electric space. And I think it's so interesting. It's expanded. Obviously, Hyundai and Rivian, Kia now is going to build the EV9 here in the state of Georgia. You've got now electric buses being built at Bluebird. But you've also got these battery plants with SK. You've got the solar with Q-Cells. You're just seeing just this proliferation of this next generation of transportation. We now have a hydrogen producer. Hyundai just announced that all of their vehicles moving from the port of Savannah to the plant outside of Savannah will all be hydrogen. And so we're really in the middle of a revolution, and I give a lot of credit to Governor Kemp and our General Assembly for laying the foundation, Department of Economic Development for rolling out the red carpet and bringing those folks here.
How do we remain competitive in this state, though?
Well, I think that's the third leg of the stool, right? North Carolina had an article this week where they're saying we're targeting Georgia. Now, last year, Alabama's governor said we got to do better to compete with Georgia. Texas just passed new economic development incentives. And so we'll be advocating for what the governor's already announced, which is lowering the state income tax, keeping the incentives that we've got, making them more transparent, more competitive, doing anything we can to cut red tape. The lieutenant governor's got his red tape rollback commission that we're a part of. So all of those things, just with this mindset of how do we continue to be a little bit better. And then the big issue that the business community has dealt with and will continue to deal with is lawsuit abuse. Whether you're a farmer, whether you're a doctor, a hospital administrator, a small business owner, you've got a lawsuit system right now that's focused on jackpots and not justice. And so we want to try to just level the playing field, a couple of bills this year to help with that.
Yeah, tort reform.
Tort reform, right.
Yeah, big on the governor's list. What other things would you like to see happen during this legislative session?
It's going to be a busy session. We're going to play a lot of offense on these issues. Obviously, and I don't think people really think about public safety as a workforce development issue, but it absolutely is. If your employees aren't safe, if they don't feel comfortable coming to work, they're not going to come to work. They're going to go find somewhere else. And so supporting what the Attorney General has done related to gang activity, with human trafficking, with an incredible issue that we've got in this state, which is organized retail crime. That's about a $3 billion a year hit to the state's economy. So we'll continue to look for opportunities to address those issues too.
How about in the area of healthcare? Your new chairman is within the healthcare industry.
My outgoing chairman,
chairman.
Neil Pruitt, is
Sorry.
in the healthcare space. I think there are a couple of different issues there. One is obviously access, making sure, particularly in our rural communities and now in our urban areas, to make sure that we've got access, quality access for folks. But the biggest issue with healthcare right now, Donna, is making sure that we've got the workforce that we need. Think about these statistics for a minute. Right now in Georgia, there are 40,000 healthcare job openings. In 3 years, there'll be 61,000 healthcare job openings, and by 2030, 101,000 healthcare job openings in Georgia. So more nursing programs, more doctor programs, more clinicians, anything you can think in that healthcare space. We've got to find ways to get young people into those career pathways and to make sure our colleges and our technical colleges have the resources they need to give them the skill sets to go back and take care of all of us as we get a little bit older.
Talk about tax incentives. What are your feelings about that?
So we have spent all year working with Chairman Blackman and Chairman Huffstetter looking at competitiveness, transparency, accountability, and I appreciate that look. Listen, we need to continue to look to ways to tweak and improve. We've made some recommendations about how to make those incentives more impactful. Some of them are a little outdated. And so we look forward to continue that discussion as we go. But what we need to remember is we've had many of these incentives in place for 30 years. They've worked incredibly well. Companies count on them. Site selectors that look to move to Georgia count on them. And we just want to make sure that that toolbox that our economic developers have, particularly in rural communities, is full and robust, and they have what they need to go out there and compete. These aren't giveaways. These are just leveling the playing fields with other states. If you look at any incentive that we have in Georgia, it's based on the fact that in another state there's a different tax structure. That's what we're doing, is just level the playing field for Georgia companies and Georgia small businesses that use these same exact credits every single day.